Say you're bored, sitting in your class and in desperate need for a short entertainment break. So you go to Google and decide, you know what? Nothing is more entertaining than drama. So you do what the smart thing is when looking for some melodrama, and you Google recent American legislation. So you find the usual stuff, President Trump said something he shouldn't have, and whatnot. Then, something catches your eye. Politicians are screaming and yelling at each other over actual policy and not racist tweets.
So, what is the Green New Deal? It is perhaps one of the most ambitious pieces of climate change legislation put forth in American history. It has brought more attention to the climate change in just 2 months than anything else has over the past 2 years. The Green New Deal was proposed by freshman U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a Democrat from New York. It is largely based around saving the environment and impeding the progress of climate change, although it has provisions for social change as well. Some of the major provisions include transitioning to entirely carbon-neutral energy by 2050, a complete overhaul of all future and existing infrastructure to be environmentally friendly, and a carbon-free nationwide transportation system. The deal guarantees all those residing within the U.S. a wage capable of sustaining a family, paid vacation, free higher education, a universal basic income, and subsidized health care, among access to a greener environment. In a way, the Green New Deal is like a democratic socialist dream legislation. However, so many politicians, even staunch Democrats, are against the Green New Deal. But why are so many of Ocasio-Cortez's fellow Democrats so against the Green New Deal? Simply put, it would tank our economy and completely change American lives for the worse. Let's take a step back for a moment and dissect why.
First, and perhaps most importantly, the Green New Deal is way too expensive. Estimates show that it would be a struggle to even pay for some of its provisions, even without the rest. Millions of buildings and homes in the country would have to be completely reshaped so that they're completely environmentally friendly. On top of that, the government would have to pay for free healthcare, about $7.35 trillion, free education, about $47 billion per year, a universal basic income, about $539 billion per year, and so much more. The total cost of all these things would easily add up to well more than the GDP and national debt of the United States. On top of that, there would be a huge increase in unemployment due to the fact that the legislation calls for major U.S. industries to be obsolete, which is a large human cost. Democrats claim that the single-payer healthcare system would save us $2.1 trillion in 10 years. Studies show that this is true, but we would still have to pay $7.35 trillion per year up until that point, rendering the $2 trillion we'd save negligible. To make matters worse, these policies have been attempted before by other nations, but have resulted in catastrophic failure. Most recently in Finland, where the entire government resigned just weeks before a general election due to the absurd failure of a universal basic income, which caused the Finnish economy to collapse. And how does Ocasio-Cortez propose that we pay for all of this? Well, she really doesn't know.
I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Because, again, I'm at least trying, and they're not.
In essence, her defense for how we're going to pay for the Green New Deal is that she's trying and that's enough for her.
On top of how expensive and financially irresponsible this kind of venture would be, the implementation and layout of the plan itself is weak, unrealistic, and gives no confidence to Green New Deal supporters' arguments. One of the main goals of the Green New Deal is a pathway to being carbon neutral by 2050. Considering how much carbon we as Americans emit per day, and how many necessities emit carbon, it would be nearly impossible to eliminate all carbon emissions in just 30 years after going through about 2 centuries of industrialization and technological advancements that cause carbon emissions. Again, there are hidden costs not addressed by Ocasio-Cortez. For example, our nation's military not only protects our homeland, it protects freedoms across the globe. Our military relies on carbon-rich energy sources and nuclear power to function at the required efficiency because the Green New Deal does not propose any increase in atomic energy production. It would harm our nation's defensive abilities by hemorrhaging their energy supply lines by eliminating carbon-rich energy sources. By now, it may seem like this legislation has a lot going on, but we're not even really getting past the tip of the iceberg.
Among all the massive economic policies, the Green New Deal has class and social policies which, when combined as they are in the proposal, take on new consequences than if proposed separately. The policy is more of a New Deal on steroids than it is a Green New Deal at heart. Other than the insanely ambitious carbon-neutral goal, the environmental protection proposals made in Ocasio-Cortez's New Deal are already funded and performed well by the EPA. Curiously, the Green New Deal does not call for an increase in EPA budget, but instead seems to retread the ground already covered by the agency. Paid family vacations, high-paying job guarantees, and eliminating income and wealth inequality have nothing to do with environmental protection, which is currently a more pressing issue due to the economy's already currently healthy states. In truth, the Green New Deal wants to be a model of FDR's New Deal, but FDR's proposal was in response to the worst economic state America has ever seen. Ocasio-Cortez's proposal is in response to the best economy we have seen in decades. These social policies are also not even guaranteed for only U.S. citizens. Unlike FDR's New Deal, instead they are able to be applied to all people within the United States, illegal or not. One thing is certain, whatever current economic policies are in effect are working well, and a complete overhaul of them would undo all of the recent major economic improvements we have seen. Environmental protection is possible and needed, but not when we are so distracted by bloated social policies that are either unproven to work or proven to fail.
There are far too many ways in which the Green New Deal would lead to disaster for the U.S. We cannot possibly go over all of them in this video, but from what we have covered so far, it should seem obvious that Ocasio-Cortez's proposal is not the right fit for our current situation. The problems she attempts to address are undeniable, but it is also undeniable that the new problems that would be created by her Green New Deal would be even worse. If we already struggle to protect the environment as is, imagine how futile our attempts would be with a soaring unemployment rate, free-fall economy, no clear path nor plan to success, and an abandonment to our global responsibility as a world power. Think critically about not only the problems we face, but also the solutions being proposed. But don't just take our word for it. Listen to what the leader of Ocasio-Cortez's party says about the Green New Deal.
It will be one of several or maybe many suggestions that we receive. The Green Dream, or whatever they call it, nobody knows what it is, but they're for it, right?